Hello everyone and welcome to the Winthrop Coliseum. We are here for the USDGC preview show for the 25th anniversary of the United States Disc Golf Championship. It's Monday qualifying day. Brian Earhart, Nate Perkins to talk you through the action. Before we get to that, we have to just talk about this wonderful event in its 25th rendition. Starting in 1999, Ken Climo himself commentating this year. Your very first champion of the event. Nate, it seems like year after year, no matter what happens, something wonderful happens. Can you talk about your experiences here?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those courses that when you think of disc golf, you think of the Winthrop Arena. I mean, not too many other courses do we return to year after year. So I feel like that is what leads to this being such a prestigious event. Of course, it's a PDGA major. We just have 4 a year. But it's because we return to this property, and it changes. It changes every year. You know, it seems like those OB lines get tighter and tighter, but the setting is the same. I mean, we're sitting with the beautiful lake right here. It just becomes iconic, and it seems like the prestige rises each year we return.
It's an interesting course, and I've talked about this with many people. For some reason, this is a course that no matter how many times you play here, it seems like you go to bed and you dream about one of these holes. Even if some of the holes on this course don't look like some spectacular hole surrounded by these beautiful mature trees, they still either haunt you or it's a good dream that you have about something. I don't know why this course makes people think so deeply about it. What do you think that is? Well,
it's exactly why it is so prestigious, is because it's right there for everybody. I mean, you don't have to have an elite 550-foot shot to be a major champion here. I mean, we sat down with Gannon Burr, and what did he say? 400-foot mid-range shot is what you want out here. The course is very attackable, even for your average disc golfer. It's the OB ropes. It's the stroke and distance on a few of the holes. It's hole 17. The OB can really just get in your head, and the course also drastically changes depending on the wind conditions.
It feels to me like Winthrop is still, in my opinion, the most strategic disc golf course that the players have to see all year. There seems to be so many different ways to go about doing it. You kind of know year after year what numbers you have to shoot, especially this year where we kind of overhauled the course in a few spots. They're seeing pretty much the same course for the second year in a row, but there's so many different strategies to apply out here, so many different spots where you can bite off a little bit more, some spots where it pays off to be extremely conservative. Are there any holes specifically that stick out to you that maybe you've had this experience with?
Well, I think the change on 2 and 3 last year, we're seeing those holes again this year, Brian. 2 used to be that iconic par 4 where you had to take that second shot out over the parking lot. They've changed it to a really difficult par 3. Not a lot of people were scoring the birdie there. And then hole 3 used to be that iconic downhill par 3. They've connected that to the basket of hole 4. So they're asking you to throw a 550-foot hyzer downhill over out of bounds with the wind read that you don't have because you're blocked on the tee. So I think 3 is probably the hardest hole on the course now as far as difficulty to birdie. And those holes really stick out on the front. And then, of course, on the back, hole 17 has remained unchanged for, I think, the last 25 years. And that has always been the most difficult hole on the course relative to the par. And we've seen year after year that is what determines who walks away with this title.
Well, and I think 17 is one to zoom in on right now. I also think 7 is another hole that fits this category of as the course blows up around us, as certain holes get stretched, certain holes are now beginning to get connected to continue to match the level of this game as it rises. Holes like 7 and 17 are relatively unchanged. Wide open shot. The bamboo used to be something you could spike hyzer over in years past. We've had some iconic aces hit, but now it's a triple mando. Nate, talk about the nuance of this hole.
Well, I want to talk about what they did change this year with this one, Brian. They've actually elevated the tee pad a little bit, and they have kind of a reverse situation from the Phoenix Open hole 16. They've got the crowd surrounding this tee pad now, so the energy level is going to be really high on this tee. It might even be hard to focus a bit. Here we're watching Eagle and Nate play. I would say half the field plays it with a hyzer in, whether they go with that forehand hyzer skipping in. There's Drew Gibson just throwing the straight putter there. Here's Bradley Williams. He's going Mako and just kind of going to draw this one back in. It's simple, but it really gets in your head. And if you miss that bamboo, you're dropping a stroke. You're heading straight to a drop zone. Here's Matty O carving one up the middle.
There's something about a late gap. I don't care if it's 250 or 350. There's a certain distance where a late triple Mando is daunting no matter what, and that's what I like about this hole. You're throwing all these power shots. You just come off hole 5 where you're throwing some power shots. Hole 6, you throw extremely stressful, either high down-tempo driver or kind of an up-tempoed mid-range, but then you come here and you have to throw a finesse shot, which I know the people who work on this course really value in their top professionals, and I think this course makes you throw the finesse and power shots in a really balanced manner. But it's interesting. I've seen personally more players over the years going with the stable forehand down the left side, just trying to give themselves something. The fairway slopes ever so slightly down to the left, so players just want to get a little bit of ground play, get themselves into the open. But we do see a lot of the top players still going with the backhand here. It really depends on what the wind does. You either get a crosswind left to right that you're feeling on hole 6, or you get kind of the reverse wind, and it makes that backhand really challenging.
Yeah, I mean, wind is always our biggest factor. I mean, it's our putting green compared to golf. And Winthrop, I feel like, is the most wind-dependent course. I mean, if we jump back to 2019 when James Conrad won, the winning score was 19 under par, Brian. And we can look at this course. Paul Ulibarri shot over 40 under par and didn't even get second. So this course varies so much on the total score required to win, and it's really all about the wind. And hole 7 is very wind dependent. I mean, if you have that tailwind, you're going to change things up. If you have a headwind, you might stable up. So this course just drastically changes, and the scores required. I mean, do you remember when Alex Russell nearly birdied every hole on the course? Well, he shot 15 under par, and James won 19 under par. That's a 4-round tournament. So Winthrop really changes quite a bit depending on where that wind is coming from.
I love the par 3s out here. I absolutely love it, and they've taken a couple of them away from us, but one that you are not ever going to take away from us is hole number 17, Nate, and that's one where we've probably seen the most drama on this course over the past 25 iterations of this tournament. We have to talk about 17. We're going to fly the hole right now. Nate, we've seen so much drama here. Can you talk about this hole as a player?
Well, you see this hole on camera, and you see people blow up on it, and you're like, wow, this has to be like the hardest hole ever. Then you step up on the tee, and you're like, it's right there. It's right there. There's so much space to the right. Like, how is it such a difficult hole? Well, you think it's easy, and then you show up. You make that long walk, and you show up to this hole on tournament day, and it's a completely different feeling. What disc do you throw? Do you throw the zone slot? Do you throw that stable mid-range slot hard? Do you down tempo on the Firebird? Like, what do you do when you step up onto 17? Do you lay it up? I don't think anybody that is a fan of disc golf will ever forget Johnny McRae going into this hole with a 4-stroke lead. I think everybody watching at home is screaming, "Lay it up, Johnny." He didn't have a layup play. He sent the putter OB, then he sends another one OB. Time and time again, I remember Chris Clemens, Nathan Queen, they had a shot to win a few years ago. They could have laid it up. They could have played it safe. They went for the birdie, and it cost them the tournament. And of course, we've had iconic putts. Paul Macbeth there on 17 from 60 feet. And then Gannon Burr the next year. Is that not the most iconic putt in that young man's career?
Well, what I think is one of the cool things about 17 is how they're utilizing the 2 different pin positions. You put it in that far left position, in that little sliver. No one's trying to bullseye that hole. Everyone's trying to crash off to the left side, give themselves hopefully something from circle's edge. The problem is you can miss that putt and go out of bounds very easily. It's only a few feet from the OB on any side, and then they move it to the middle position. You give players the opportunity to get more aggressive, and it almost tempts them to go against their game plan and actually try to get the 2 on it. The other thing is you're teeing off from behind a tree line. it's hard to get a wind read on 17 just from the tee pad unless you really want to walk all the way down the fairway and do that during your 30 seconds. Players are getting that wind read from the fairway of 5, which is on the other side of Lake Winthrop, thinking about the hole throughout the entire day. Every player seems to have like 2 or 3 different shots that they'll throw on it, depending on the wind. You've talked about that. I've seen players go, full distance driver forehand, hoping to just chance the ground play. We've heard stories from Ken Climo throwing just a KC Rock backhand over the hay bales every single time. I mean, there's so many little nuances. They leave the grass a little longer before the hay bales to make sure you're not going to get easy skips over it. We're throwing downhill, which also makes the skip a little bit less likely. And then, yes, the hay bales are iconic because you're not going to get a lucky skip. It's so rare to have a player throw short and actually bounce over the hay bales. If you get that break, remember that for the rest of your life because it is a 1% chance. Nate, do you have any final comments about 17? I have not enough good things to say about it. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, the reason why the United States Disc Golf Championship gets that exemption is because of holes like 17, where it is stroke and distance. And another unique rule that we have on this green, if you remember Calvin Heimberg's nearly historic comeback on Chris Dickerson, well, it ended here on 17 because he was putting from about 50 feet. He hits the pin and he rolls into the water. Normally at any other tournament, you walk up and you mark your lie and you tap that putt in, but you have to re-putt from your position. So that's why this is still labeled that XM tier, and it's holes like 17 that are going to determine the champion down the stretch.
Well, the other thing is I believe at one point, if you missed the tee shot, you went out of bounds, you just kept reteeing. But now it's 3. You have 3 tee shots that you can throw, and then you advance to a closer drop zone. So a little bit less drama than in years past. A player can't completely ruin their chances of winning, but still, there's chances of going out of bounds, like you said, on the putt. So much to talk about here with 17, but we have so much more disc golf to talk about. We're going to take a commercial break. On the other side, we have the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championships here at Winthrop as well. Kristin Tattar is in town. We got to talk to her. We'll show you after the break.
The Innova Rolo, the disc made for rolling. 4. The Rolo, making rollers fun.
Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Down.
Welcome back. We are now joined here by Kristin Tattar, your recent Grand Slam winner. Kristin, after a long stretch, you finally got some time off. You got to relax here on the East Coast. How did you spend that week, and how are you feeling now?
It was an amazing week. We just had some time off, and we were exploring the surroundings in Charlotte, and we went up to a Grandfather Mountain, which I visited earlier in the year before. And I just wanted to show it to Silver and Isabel as well, and I actually got engaged.
Well,
No big deal.
congratulations. Not too bad of a way to finish off a week.
Yeah.
You said you loved the scenery out here in general, the nature out on the East Coast. What else did you check out other than Grandfather Mountain?
We were just mostly exploring, the city and just taking time off. We weren't really intentional about anything, and just enjoying each other's company and also catching up on some stuff that we were falling behind with. So, yeah, nothing too special comes to mind other than the engagement.
Pretty special.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Well, how do you top that? You know, you won your fourth major in the same year, and then it was a surprise, right? You weren't expecting for silver to get down on one knee, were you?
No, especially not in that moment as well. It was just I was at loss in words, and it's hard to top that. And I remember last year I was telling, oh my gosh, I had such an amazing year. I don't know if I'll ever repeat that year. So, well, I haven't repeated it, but I've done better. I feel like, it's just been magical, and I'm just enjoying every moment of it. Yeah.
Well, so how do you come into a tournament like this? Like, you won all 4 majors, but the Throw Pink Championship, it almost feels like a major to a lot of us, and certainly your field. Can you talk about why it feels like a major and how you're preparing for it? How do you stay focused? Even you mission accomplished. You won all majors. How do you bring the best Kristin Tattar to this event?
Well, I don't know yet. I don't know how it will unfold, but my goal going into every tournament is to play my best golf, and I just want to see amazing shots on the course, and I just want to do my best. And I think this is ultimately my goal. It's not necessarily about the results. And once I start to think about the results, then some crazy stuff can happen. But if I'm focused on just putting in my best effort and just displaying great golf, then usually great results come as a bonus. So this is my mindset going into this week.
Well, question for you. You've been talking so much about just stepping back and kind of witnessing things as they unfold, and you clearly have elevated your mindset just like month after month, and you've opened up about, reading and doing all sorts of things to try to continue to elevate your mindset. When you come into a tournament, whether it's a major or a lower level tournament, with that mindset, does everything start to feel the same after a while?
I guess, but also no. I feel like the human mind is so tricky. One day it feels like one thing, and then the other thing happens, and you can never predict the future. So it's always exciting, and I always just try to bring myself back and focus on what's important and what's at hand. And I feel like disc golf never gets boring, and there's always another challenge to take on. So, yeah.
Now, specifically this course, how has the preparation for it been? How are you feeling about your game? How's it matching up with this challenging track?
I've had a few practice rounds, and I feel like I already know all the shots. It's only a matter of executing. I feel like I have a shot on each hole, and it's just depending on the weather conditions and also my mindset and my confidence. But I feel like I've developed a really good game plan now. It's just time to focus and execute.
Well, I have to ask, you played this course last year. It doesn't seem like the changes are that extravagant. How different of a player are you now, maybe play style wise, than you were in years past or the last time you played here?
I don't even know. It's hard to compare myself, but I feel like I'm taking steps forward every day almost. I feel like. Well, sometimes I also take a few steps back, but in order to take another step forward, that's how life goes. But yeah, last year I had some struggles here. I can't even remember why, but I remember that my first round was quite horrible. but I fought myself back into the mix and proved myself that even if I have one bad round, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will affect the next rounds. So I gained quite a bit of confidence from that tournament, and hopefully this year I can play solid golf all 4 rounds.
Question for you that I actually haven't asked you, but I've talked to you off camera about it. I want to talk about your disc selection and your disc in your bag right now. You have been known to throw a few molds and throw them very well. How has your bag changed throughout the year? Are you still throwing the same stuff that you were starting the year with?
Pretty much, yeah. I think I only added an Explorer, and Silver has been talking about this for years, for me to add an Explorer, because I need something in between, like Fortress and the St. Pro. And I was like, nah, I don't need it. But now I actually understand that I can benefit from having an Explorer in my bag quite a lot when I have a little bit of wind, but I don't need as much speed. Then I go with the Explorer, not the driver.
Because I saw at the U.S. Women's Championships, you burned, I believe it was a St. Pro over on 3, and it went into the creek. Did you end up getting that driver back that you lost?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I still have it.
Okay. Did it go back in the bag, or did you put it in timeout?
No, it's in the bag. I mean, I typically don't blame my discs. It's just me and my bad form that sometimes pops out. So, yeah.
Well, I know you mentioned that you're not really focused on results. Like, are you aware of being the current money leader right now and how close you are to being 1,000 rated? Like, are those in your mind at all when you finish a tournament? Are you calculating your rating and seeing like how close you are to being the first woman to 1,000, or is that a concern for you at all?
I have not done that. I mean, I feel like once I start to think about it too much, then it's not going to happen. And I'm actually not worried about whether it will happen or it does not happen. I don't really care about it. I feel like it will be amazing if it happens, but I mean, 999 is also amazing. So why 1 point more? I don't know. It would be great for the sport and for the women's sport especially, but I don't concern myself with it. If it's meant to be, it will happen, and if not, then I will accept it.
Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry, Brian. So the schedule for 2024 just came out. Like, how far do you allow yourself to take the planning? Like, are you planning on that whole tour? I know that you and Silver were talking about potentially touring in Europe a little bit more. Like, how excited are you for that next schedule?
Yes, I took a look at the schedule. And typically I have had a pretty good idea which tournaments I'm going to play the next season. But right now I feel like I have mixed feelings about the schedule. I don't really know yet what to do. And I will wait for the European schedule to come out as well, and then I will make a plan. Yeah.
Now check this out, Kristin. They've got your Kristin Tattar's to-do list up on the screen for us right there. 3 attempts at MVP Open.
Yep.
Got to make it back for that one and clear up that second place finish.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That's how much we keep a close eye on you here at Tournament Central, Kristin.
These are still pretty good results.
They're
I feel
really
like.
good.
Yeah, but it is funny. MVP is funny. I don't know. Second place. Yeah, maybe one day.
do any of those sting when you get second place and you come so close and you don't take down the victory?
It's not necessarily the place that stings, it's the play usually. Also this year in MVP I had that 3-putt on hole 17, which obviously hurts, but I mean it's sports, it can happen, and there's like nothing to blame, it's just how it went down. And yeah, of course I mean, if I would have been in second place and I played an amazing golf, then I guess it would have hurt a little bit less. But I mean, it happened, and I already made peace with it after the tournament, and I'm really happy for Haley. Yeah.
I have one last question before Nate can ask you anything. You speak with such presence, especially as of late, and it's easy to say, yeah, I want to stay in the present moment. I want to be here no matter what. How long has this journey been for you to get where you are now in regards to just being present and staying there?
I think it's just a matter of being conscious about your, the issues that come up in everyday life. And if you're already aware of your thought patterns and how your emotions come up, then it's already a step forward. And if you practice that, you get better at it, and you'll be able to bring yourself back into the present moment and actually focus on what is important. But when you're not aware, then your emotions will take over, and all sorts of stuff can happen. So I feel like this is something that I've been practicing and really being conscious about it. And of course, I'm not perfect. But this is what I try to do, at least.
Now, did you arrive at that state of mind from, is there specific literature that you read that got you to that place, or is someone's YouTube channel or some media that you can recommend for people out there that are trying to stay in the moment?
I can't really think of anything specific, but what led me there was having some sleeping issues. I think I've talked about it in a few interviews, but I had some serious trouble sleeping, and then I started to search for some help, and that led me to holistic therapy, and this is what really has helped me, at least, and this is how I got into like consciousness and that sort of thing, and it has helped me in not only in sports but in everyday life.
Well, Kristin, thank you so much for the clarity. You always speak so beautifully when we ask you about the mental side of the sport, and good luck to you this week at Throw Pink. With that said, we're going to take a commercial break. On the other side, we're going to talk about the lead card, the feature card for the United States Disc Golf Championship. We will see you on the other side.
Your rating is one of the most valuable things you get with a membership. This gives you accurate numbers to track how well you've been doing and your overall improvement in the game. You also get a member number when you register with the PDGA. Your PDGA number is a stamp for when you got involved in the sport. It's a badge of pride for players and a part of your disc golf identity. Get your number today. Visit pdga.com/join.
And welcome back. It is Monday qualifying day here at the Winthrop Coliseum. This is currently your top 5 during Monday qualifying. Randon Latta and Micah Groth still on the course right now. It looks like 4 under par is the score to beat. With that, let's jump down to the ground and take a look at Randon Latta making his way over to the iconic 17th.
Yeah, this is such a tense walk. It'll be a solid quarter mile from the basket of 16 to the tee pad of hole 17. And all you have is time to overthink this short downhill par 3. It's in the A position, I believe, Brian, so it is just 12 feet of space on the front side and maybe 22 feet of space on the back side. Is that the Yeti sweeping off the tee pad there?
This is a star-studded card out here at Monday qualifying. Just goes to show you, Nate, it's not enough to follow the whole tour anymore. You can't just get your qualification just by showing up these days. It seems like so many good players are out here on Monday trying to still battle for their spot. Players were coming out here waiting hours hoping that certain players were not going to show up for their tee time. So super competitive today on Monday. Here's Randon. It's a gentle wind out there.
No, I think Randon's going to be going with a Toro slot right here. Stand still, he's got it up. Brian, that's short. That is short. That's going to be a re-tee situation for Randon.
And again, they get 3 re-tees before they bring it to a drop zone closer. This is the mistake. You pull out the driver, you get nervous.
That needs legs. And he's on. He'll be putting for the single bogey from right there at circle's edge. Now the difficult thing about this, Brian, you miss once. Now you're going to your second option. I feel like it gets harder and harder.
And Chesser has narrowly made it inbounds with a sawed-off forehand. That's going to be either a long look for birdie or a par. Jacob Chesser on the dance floor as well. Now AJ Carey.
Looks like AJ Carey is already out of the picture here. Sitting at 4 over par coming into 17. But he does stick the island.
It's a nice shot there from Carey. Interestingly enough, that 19th place spot is 4 over par out of over 100 players that tried to qualify, just showing you how tough the course is playing this year. And now Jay Redding.
So Jay actually has a chance here. He needs birdie. And that's going to be low. That's going to ruin Jay's chances. Some quality golf from Jay. 4 birdies on this difficult track.
Third shot. Oh no, and that's not going to be it. Oh boy. You know, it's a really interesting feeling. You know your round is done. You have one chance to make it in. The top 5 move on. Over 100 players come out. You're in the mix going into 17, and now he knows at this point every shot matters. This is his 5th now. Oh, and he makes the same exact mistake. Pop the nose up into the tree line. And now after 3 out of bounds strokes, he will move on to a drop zone. Well, pitch is short.
Brian, how much more difficult is 17 with the turnover backhand than just the one angle forehand?
Sometimes with the wind, it's actually a better play. When it's kind of that helping crosswind left to right, the backhand is sometimes a better option. It's a little bit more technical, but that's just how it played out today for Jay Redding, unfortunately. A tough finish. With that said, we looked at our leaderboard. Luke Callahan from the area is in first place. He shot a 5 under par. Nate, you got to talk to him after his round today. Let's take a listen.
I don't know, man. Something about one round, not really having a second chance to come back and correct some of the things I did wrong. And there's so much OB out there. Anything can happen on any given hole. You know, I was playing really good going into 17, and you can easily mess that up a couple times and take a really big number and take yourself out of it.
Well, how do you feel about your 5 under par? You feel like that's going to be a good enough score to get you in today?
I think it's going to hold up. It's getting a little windy as the day goes on, and hole 18 has a par mess up, so hopefully that doesn't come into play. I don't want anyone to miss the cut because of that, but I think it'll hold up.
And you've been coming here for years, right? How many times have you been a part of this tournament? I know you've been caddying for your friend Jeremy Cullen for quite some time.
Yeah, so this is my 5th time being here. Actually, I've been here. This was the first tournament I ever watched in 2018. So now to be able to qualify for this tournament and play my first ever major, I'm really excited.
And so talk about some of your birdies out there. What are some of the memorable shots that you threw today to shoot that 5 under?
Honestly, I think all my better shots, I ended up parring the holes. My birdies just came from keeping it in bounds, keeping it clean, picking up the easy holes when I got them. And yeah, I just didn't really make any mistakes.
All right, so what are you going to do now? You're just going to sit and watch the U-Disc and keep your fingers crossed that you...
Yeah, the plan is to go watch some of my buddies out there qualifying, cheer for them, and just hope that my number holds up.
All right, and just introduce yourself to the people of the world. Where are you from? You know, you're the disc golf kid. Tell them who you are.
I'm Luke Callahan from Raleigh, North Carolina. I have a YouTube channel. It's the Disc Golf Kid, if anyone wants to go check that out. But yeah, I've just been playing disc golf for the last 5 years, taking it more seriously this year, seeing what I can do.
All right, good shoot today, Luke.
Thank you.
That was Luke Callahan, and just to clear up any confusion, his 4 under on the leaderboard was a reflection of UDisc. They actually had 18 mistakenly listed as a par 3 when really it is a par 4. So he did actually shoot a 5 under par. Great effort there from Luke, and now we're live on 17, AJ Carey.
Good left side stick right there for Carey. And while he is still out of it, he'll move to 3 over par. Always good to card the birdie there regardless. Yeah, AJ's been on tour all year, Brian, and wasn't able to get himself a spot. It just shows you how stiff the competition really is. And here's Randon Lada. This is for the single bogey. He needs this to stay at 2 under par.
Oh, you feel that gentle wind. You have the OB directly behind you. It was a safe bid, but a smart one. His double bogey 5 brings him to 1 under. This is still a chance.
Well, Brian, he needs to card the 3. Okay, it looks like even is actually still in that 5th place spot. So he could card the 4 on 18 and still looks like the wind has picked up, Brian. You know, this morning it was quite calm when players like Luke Callahan came in. They did tiered registration for the first time here at Monday qualifying. 1020 rated players were allowed to register first, followed by 1010 and 1000 rated, and then so on.
Well, you see here a kind of a backed up leaderboard right now. Randon will move to 1 under total. Jacob Chesser also grabbing the par there, so he remains at even. Currently, Jacob Chesser is going to be in a position to at least tie for that 5th place spot. There is a playoff scenario where that person has to battle to get that 5th spot. Obviously, you never want to be in a multi-way tie for the final USDGC spot, but definitely a chance. They move on to hole number 18. Nate, this... And welcome back to the Winthrop Coliseum. We're here on number 18 with John Blackburn. John, you just shot a 5 under par for the Monday qualifying. Me and Nate have not met you before. You're going to have to introduce yourself to us and all the people watching. Who are you?
My name's John. Like you said, I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina. I've played disc golf for 3 years now. I work as a firefighter there in Wilmington.
Wow, so you took off work to come be here this week. Did you take off work for the rest of the week and prep for potentially making it?
I did. I start my new job on October 23rd, so this is kind of my last go at it. So I was like, why not? Why not go for it?
Wow. So how do you feel about that 5 under? Is that something that you felt like you had your eyes set on, or was this round kind of a surprise to you?
Total surprise. I was not planning on shooting 5 under. I told myself take it one shot at a time, no expectations, aim to par the holes I want to par and try to get a birdie here and there. So,
well, I got to ask you, let's zoom in on the round itself. What were the shots that stood out to you as pretty spectacular, or maybe shots that you executed well under pressure?
A shot that comes to mind would be hole 16.
Here we are right here, John,
Yep.
hole 16. What are you throwing right there?
I'm throwing a eagle. Yep.
Eagle, nice
Yep.
turn. And then on 17, are you feeling the nerve stepping up on this pad?
I am. I was trying to go through Raptor or zone. My buddy told me I've been throwing the zone well the entire round, so I just went with it.
Well, I'm not going to keep you any longer. Your boys are all here filming you right now. It sounds like you have some celebrating to do. 5 under, at least historically, is enough to take you into that championship. So, John, good luck. It was great to meet you, and we're going to be seeing more of you this week.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Nice to meet you.
Good shooting, John.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. And we are back now. Here we are, Jacob Chesser on 18. A birdie could put him clearly in the mix. Par puts him in a multi-way tie for that final spot.
Going with the forehand. Ideal landing zone right there. He's just up on that spot where it starts to flatten out, making that approach that much easier. Big shot for Chesser.
It would be a 3-way playoff if Randon Lotta does not bogey. 4-way playoff if he does. And they play 1, 17, and 18 until the final spot is taken.
Brandon has to make a decision here. He's got a big arm.
Par here seals it for him.
Yep, just burning the eagle over. I like that safe play, Brian.
It's a touchy backhand. If you do push a little farther up the fairway, you can flatten the ground out just a bit. Again, he just needs a 4. Now Yeti.
What an angle from Jay.
Solid shot. He is on the playing surface. Throwing 2. With that said, we will be right back. We're going to take a quick commercial break here on the Disc Golf Network. We won't miss the finish of this round.
One thing we all love about disc golf is it's a lifetime sport. Whether you play pro, am, juniors, or senior grandmasters, we all want to play this sport as much as we want and for as long as we want. This can introduce wear over time, potentially hindering your ability to continue playing. A cart reduces the cumulative stress on your body that comes with repetitive motions such as reaching down and lifting. This will help keep you on the course, maximizing your athletic potential, and playing your best.
And welcome back.
Happen?
We are flying over the fairway of number 18. We have just gotten word that Micah Groth has gotten through 17 with a birdie. He's now 1 under, and now that is the mark you have to hit to stay in this championship.
Now, thankfully, these guys have UDisc, Brian, so they're going to be able to tune into this and make the decision on 18. That's going to force Randon to actually go for this 3 right here.
Yeti's second. Solid shot. It's going to be a nice layup there for the 4. One of the weirdest second shots in the sport of disc golf. Uphill, slopes down to the left, OB all down the side. The basket is perched on a super downslope, and your shot really has to touch ground out of sight for the most part for it to actually get up to circle 1. Really unique shot that takes a lot of trust. Chesser, huge second shot here.
Now, he has to get the 3 here, and he needs some help from either Randon or Micah?
Again, playoff holes 1, 17, and 18. If we do, in fact, go. It's got to check up.
Is that a little too conservative, Brian? He leaves himself 65 feet staring straight down the hill.
I have seen numerous putts made from that position. Ooh. He has nothing to lose at this point. I mean, I think he has to pay attention to the scores. He has to pay attention to what Randon does. But it will likely get to a spot where he is going to have to do something with that putt.
Now, Randon just a few steps ahead of him. This is probably only 340 feet. He's flat ground right here. But like you said, this is such a technical shot.
This to secure it for him. Oh, he left that one short,
Right,
Nate.
it's too conservative. I have to wonder if they are aware of the mistake on 18 and they think that their 1 under is secured. I have to wonder if that's coming into play right there. That looked like a very conservative shot for him.
And yeah, with that Randon Lotta second shot, it's starting to look like Chesser's going to have to make a move. Now Carey lining up the second.
Pulled it.
Pulled it, but gets a huge flare skip back to the left. I believe he is inside circle 1. Putting for birdie to wrap up the week for him. Unfortunately, could not get it going earlier in the round.
Now, Brian, this is setting up for a big playoff here. If Randon does not connect on this, 80-footer down the hill, we're looking at a playoff with Randon Lotta, Clint Calvin, Jacob Chesser, if he makes his putt, Nathaniel Johnson from North Carolina. We're looking at a big playoff here.
Heart starting to pitter-patter, Nate. We've seen this year after year. It seems like the number is usually 1 under to get you in the championship. No matter how good the skill level is of the field, it seems like that number always sticks. And even out of 100-plus players, this is still the mark to get into the championship. Now Randon Lotta has a move after Yeti decides what to do here with his third. No problem there.
One of the icons of the game. Of course, the founder, co-founder of the educational disc golf experience. And here's Randon taking his lie in.
Yeah, he can gamble against the field and lay up. And it looks like he's doing exactly that. He's going to remain at 1 under par.
Well, Brian, the par is listed wrong, so he's actually going to move to even par.
Correct.
So
Wow.
even par is he's gonna be putting himself in that playoff. I mean, it's really wild that the UDisc is incorrect because I'm not sure if everyone out there on the course is aware of that. Randon thinks he might be in, but he is actually going to have to continue the battle here on hole 1 in just a moment.
I forgot about that.
And does Randon even know that? Does Chesser even know that? Because he is walking up to his putt. He actually needs this if he wants to stay at even.
Micah Groth on 18, going forehand. Oh, and a slow roll down the left
rolling,
side.
Brian. Unbelievable. turn of events here. So Micah is going to have to get up and down to stay in the playoff. A lot of action here on Monday, Brian. Monday qualifying is such an entertaining event, such a unique event in our sport.
And with that, we didn't quite see the finish on Jacob Chesser's shot, but he was coming in with quite a bit of hyzer on that downslope. There is OB down there. AJ Carey, birdie look. Beautiful look there. Nice way to finish there for Carey. Not going to happen for him this year, unfortunately, but it's also going to be the case for quite a few of some of the best players in the world this year, Nate. Chesser walking down to his lie, still safe.
So Chesser needed to hit this to stay at even par. He needed to hit that previous putt.
And he got it, and with that, Jacob Chesser's chances are no longer. He missed a potential playoff by one stroke. A good effort there for Jacob Chesser. And with that said, we have another card coming through, but we are going to take a quick commercial break on the Disc Golf Network. We will see you on the other side.
When I walk up to a shot, I'm looking for the target. I'm looking at obstacles around the target, specific landing zones, looking at the height. Knowing all of that, I'm able to shape a shot. I don't want to think, did I get the right shot? Did I get the right distance? Like, that's it, I got it. Confidence is everything, and the Edge Disc Golf Rangefinder gives me exactly that.
I want to be known for winning a lot of tournaments. You know, hopefully I get to a point where I can be dominant in an era with so many people coming up in the game. So hard to stay consistent at the top. That's kind of my goal, is to set the new standard for this generation.
Get ready for an electrifying fusion of disc golf and art. Disc Golf Strokes, a Uplay fundraiser that will creatively blow your mind, featuring some of the biggest names in professional disc golf. Each 6-foot canvas is up for auction along with the artist's smocks, disc brushes, and other exclusive disc golf items. Every dollar helps fund Uplay's educational events, and we're currently raising money for our trip to Uganda and Kenya, Africa this October. Disc Golf Strokes, where the thrill of the game meets the power of art to benefit the world.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
And welcome back. Zach Melton is officially done at 1 under par. He's tied for third place. He is likely in the championship right now. Zach Melton just another one of the lefties that has good success out here. We've seen it historically. Chris Clemens, Nathan Queen. We've seen Max Nichols have great success out here. Zach Melton, this could be his week. Here he is on 14. There's a few holes where the lefty has a great advantage.
Yeah, and that's one of them right there, hole 14, Brian. Here he is on 16. He's going to take this one wide. That tree has been just getting bigger and bigger every year. You have to take it too wide. Doesn't make it back in. And that plays as a hazard. But here he is tapping in on 18 for the 4. He finished at 1 under par. 1 under, enough to do it, Brian.
You know, I look at this course from the eyes of a lefty, and I see that some of the holes that are the most treacherous are not as treacherous for a left-handed player. But again, I think this course is very balanced. I wouldn't say it's skewed towards the lefty. I think the balance is so good that the lefty has just as equal of a chance as the right-handed player. You look at the hyzer you can throw on 16. You look at the hyzer with a putter that you can throw on 17, which feels fantastic.
Yep.
I mean, some of the holes have changed. You know, hole 3 has gotten more difficult for the lefty. I think hole 2 is very difficult for the lefty. But hole 5, you're throwing away from the out of bounds. You're throwing a hyzer over the water. There's so many good things about being a lefty out here where I think that's why we've seen historically those players having success out here. And with that said, we're going to take a look at some players still out there on the course. One of them with a chance to make it, Micah Groth.
Yeah, we just saw that terrible roll down the hill. He pitched up, then he threw his 4th. And this is his look. Looks like he did go out of bounds, Brian.
Yeah, I believe this putt's going to be for a double bogey. And that's not going to fall. This seems to happen out here on this course. 17, 18, just 2 brutal holes. Micah Groth, unfortunately, out of the USDGC with that number on 18. Heartbreaking finish.
So I believe that means that Clint Calvin, Nathaniel Johnson, and Brandon Latta are going to be in a 3-way playoff for the final 2 spots, with Micah taking worse than a double here. Stay tuned with us, folks. We'll have that playoff for you shortly after they tally these scores and everyone figures out what's going on.
This almost looks better.
PDG Event Support Helpline.
Hey, I was wondering if I could add some rules to my tournament to make it a little unique.
Sure. You just need a waiver from the Director of Event Support.
Okay, great. An island green?
Shouldn't be a problem.
And elevated baskets?
Yeah, we get those all the time.
Oh, and forehands only?
Sarah, we've been over this.
Sorry. I mean, but I don't see why we can't try it. I mean, everyone loves forehands. Like, you can go right, you can go left, you can throw straight, you can throw high, you can throw low.
It's been
With that score on 18, Clint Calvin moves to 1 over par total. And the 5 players moving into the championship are right there in front of you folks. Randon Latta has snuck into the final round, or snuck into the championship with this round on Monday. Nate, it was an exciting day yet again.
Yep. It was a confusing day, Brian.
A little confusing on the scoring end, but again, the day is done. The championship is coming up. We have so much to look forward to this week, and those 5 players have so much to look forward to. They now get to dream of what they're going to do in all of these 18 holes here at Winthrop. Randon Latta looking at the scores and realizing that he has done it by a single stroke.
Yep, and that's Nathaniel Johnson right there with him. I actually had the chance to play with Nathaniel back at Idlewild, and just this past weekend at the Carolina Clash. Has a great game, and I know he's going to be pretty excited. I think they're walking up here right now for a little interview. And what a final end to that Monday qualifying, Brian. I mean, it was so confusing for us. You know, we couldn't even keep up with the scores. I can't even imagine what it must have been like for the players to try and figure out in their heads, like, okay, should I lay up on 17? Like, should I lay up on 16? Like, did they even know? I can't wait to ask Randon and Nathaniel if they were keeping up with those scores, if they knew that the par would get them in or potentially would not get them in, depending on what Micah did.
Well, with that, we do have Randon Latta here in the house. As we set up, we're going to take a quick break. We will see you in just a second.
The Innova Rolo, the disc made for rolling. 4. The Rolo, making rollers fun.
Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Down.
Welcome back, folks. We have Randon Latta in the house. Randon, it was a chaotic qualifier today.
Yeah, it was.
Talk about your day out there. You got in by a single stroke. You were one of the 5 players out of over 100 that tried to qualify.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, 18 holes of pure pressure. You know all day that a big number might completely take you out of it. And I think keeping it around par was the goal. You know, if I get under par, it's just a nice buffer, but slowly coming down the stretch here, 17, you know, anything can happen. You can throw so many shots in that hole. I played with Jay Redding, and he took an 11. So, yeah, it was a lot of pressure all day.
Well, talk about how the pressure of this Monday qualifying round seems to be a lot different than the pressure of just your normal Pro Tour event out there.
Yeah, you don't feel like you have any room to go to sleep and wake up the next day and try again. You know, there's just 18 holes of beat 120 guys, hopefully 115 other guys that want to come out and do the same thing. So it's definitely a lot different. It's a Monday. You know, I just left a tournament last night, drove all night, got here at midnight, and back to playing again all day. So it's a lot.
Well, we got to actually watch you play hole 17 live. What was going through your head? You left that first one short. What'd you throw? And then what's going through your head as you step back to your bag and grab that other disc?
Yeah, I feel comfortable doing a standstill sidearm on that hole, but I threw a croc, which is a stable mid-range, just threw it too soft. And I knew I just had to go back to my bag, grab something faster, and throw the same shot. I didn't think about putting any different angle or speed, just throw the faster disc and throw the same shot. And luckily I got in bounds that time. So.
And we saw you kind of give it a soft bid there on the putt. Were you trying to make that one or just give it a half go? What were you feeling on that putt?
Yeah, I felt like the wind was coming off the lake, and I was just trying to put it softly and let it fade in and not give it too much of a stab, let it go OB or anything, and it just missed right side. So.
Well, now you're in.
Yeah.
You can breathe easy now. Let's reflect. Were those emotions that you felt during that one-day qualifier, were they maybe enjoyable now that you look back on it? Was playing under that kind of a pressure something that maybe now you can look at with some positive emotions?
Definitely. I mean, I actually had my first playoff yesterday, and I was thinking the whole time here, I was like, that kind of pressure is intense and it's cool. It's like, you know, it makes your heart race. So I was trying to enjoy it as much as I could today, and it kind of really just came down to the end, and it'll be something very enjoyable to look back on.
Do you think playing under this pressure on Monday gives you an advantage going into the tournament now?
Possibly. Definitely getting to see the course when under pressure like that, when every stroke matters. You know, I'm not out there practicing like the rest of the field right now. They're throwing multiple shots and putting on every basket. This is the first time I've seen this course since last year, so I think it might help. It might translate.
Well, then, before we go into the tournament, are you going to see the course anymore? Any more practice rounds lined up for you?
We'll see. I haven't thought that far ahead yet, honestly.
Well, Randon, thank you for joining us. Good luck this week. We're not going to keep you any longer, and we are not going to keep you any longer. We have so much disc golf content, including live coverage starting later in the week. USDGC time, baby. We will see you out there.